everyone, welcome back to my Taco show, and today it's very special. I have a very special guest on my show. Uh, Before I introduce her, I want to give you my backstory. A couple of months ago, I did a healing with my friend, and it came out I need to do meditation. And many years ago, my friend Gabi in Austria, she introduced me to Kundalini, but I never found the teacher. I never got really into it. I did a lot of normal yoga, but it affected my lower back and my knee, which is an old injury. Anyway, cutting a long story short, I came across Laura on YouTube. I joined her session. She got sessions early in the morning. I did the replay because I'm not that with waking up. But anyway, she brought the back out of me. After a couple of sessions, my lower back didn't hurt anymore. Laura got this amazing moon session, full moon, new moon session, which really go deep. And so, welcome, Laura Jones. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here today.
Oh, thank you, Gudrun.
Now,
Thank you. I'm
Satnam.
so
Satnam.
Satnam, indeed, Satnam. Yeah, thank you very much for having me on your show.
Honestly, such an honor. I wanted to start straight away. Kundalini, people hear about Kundalini, they say, oh, find your Kundalini, it's like the Nirvana, it's like the total enlightenment. What is Kundalini for you as a person? How did you get there? And why do you think it's important to connect to it?
Yeah, so my story is so I've been practicing Kundalini. I started practicing Kundalini in my late 20s. And I was really, really lucky because the very, very first class I went to, like, I just felt, oh my God, I got this. I got a very, very clear message in my first class that this was the practice that would heal me, because I've been very depressed right throughout my 20s. Like, I'm like super jolly. Like I'm not the same, you would never imagine, I think, that, oh, yeah, she looks so strong, so healthy, so happy, blah, 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 blah. But, I didn't have a happy childhood. I was very into drugs when I was a teenager and in my early 20s. And I think that sort of combination, I was very unhealthy. So there was an element of, sort of, just unhealthy living, which definitely wasn't helping my mental state. But, I had a lot of, hangover, shall we say, from my childhood that I was dealing with. And it was sort of around the time of my late 20s. I suppose most people here would understand what your Saturn return is, astrologically, when Saturn comes back to the same place in your natal chart. So around that time of my Saturn return, I was kind of having a bit of an awakening where I realized that this horrible, dark, boring depression that I was suffering with was like an overcoat that I could take off. And I started looking around at things that I could do at the time. And bear in mind, it was 20 years ago. So at that time, we had I was living in Brighton. We had this like pamphlet or something. It was like, it's like a pamphlet, with printed out, and I was working in London and I was living in Brighton. So I didn't get back from London until about 7:30, 8:00. By the time most of the classes had finished, I was living this double life, with one foot in London, one foot in Brighton, and so the only thing that actually was available was shamanism. Funny enough, because you're really into shamanism. So this lovely, lovely guy, Paul, I did some sort of shamanic journeys with him, cord cutting, blah, blah, blah. And to be honest, I wasn't really getting it, but it felt good to be doing something for myself. And it was his girlfriend
Yeah.
One day, I'd had an argument with my boss in the office, so I refused to go in, and, I phoned him up, and I could say, "I can Paul, I can feel this big depression coming along." You know, because if you suffer from depression, and maybe you find that it comes in waves. So I was getting, like, 3-month waves of, like, a sinking depression. So I'd been a bit better, and I could see it almost, like, coming over the hill towards me. So I phoned him up and I was like, Paul, what can I do? What can I do? And he said, Julie's teaching tonight. Go to her class. Siddhartha was her name. She's still around, I think. She's not teaching anymore, but she ran away with Mary Magdalene and all that lot. But
Uh,
she was, she was a wonderful teacher. I was so lucky, to have a wonderful teacher straight from the off. And the mantra that we use, Sat Nam, which we repeat and repeat and repeat as we practice. I swear, like, that mantra saved my life. Like, Sat means your truth, and Nam means
yeah.
your being. And I
Okay.
really feel that mantra glued me back together. It took all the bits of my soul where I felt very broken, very fractured, and it put all of me back inside of me, like a bit like a jigsaw puzzle. Like, I pieced
Yeah.
myself back together.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's such a it saved my life over and over again. Yeah, it's got me through some extremely hard times and continues to be my absolute rock and anchor. And of course now I absolutely love, I did my teacher training in 2004, and I started teaching in 2008. Yeah, so it's just it's so creative. I love it. I love it, love it, love it.
It's
It's so
very, very different. Yoga yoga. I assume you take power yoga and all the, and I wonder why it's so different. And yet they call it Kundalini yoga rather than more. They call it more Kundalini yoga than meditation, but it is what I experienced more like what I find it really, people think if you look at it, for example, you have your arms up or come clear, like you said, right? And I'm like, oh my god, my arm's breaking up, it's like it's a
yeah.
different force. It's like fighting with your inner demons almost, right? Against this pain. So is that the purpose to break through these layers of resistance within yourself, would you say?
Exactly that. I think most of our demons are actually in our head.
Yeah,
Most of us, we are our own worst enemy. I call it like the invisible
yeah,
prison, and when we do all these
yeah,
crazy moves, I mean, we did a lot of shaking, right? The last, like, since this decade, 2020, 2021, 2020, it's all been extremely unusual. So we've done a lot of shaking, and I'm always like rattle the bars of your prison, of your invisible prison cell that you put yourself in. You tell yourself what you're capable of. Oh yes, I can do this because of XYZ, or I can't do this because of XYZ. And most of the time it's just like a fantasy, like stories that we make up about who we think we are. And this is coming back again to Satnam. It's like, really, we don't know. We're not our personality. We're not the thoughts in our head. We are the light of the soul.
mhm,
And we have a, a divine mission here on earth. And the Kundalini, for me, it's the flow of creativity. It's the flow of potential. And when the flow of creativity, and you could call it love, you could call it, you could call it love, yeah, or creativity or
mhm,
joy. It is personal, but you sometimes feelings go, like, we don't exactly have the right words to describe feelings, but when that flow gets blocked, we get frustrated. And then that
Mhm.
frustration turns inwards and causes all kinds of, troubles. So, yeah, it's really about helping release
And
that
I
flow.
also Kundalini also, and you guide Kundalini also goes really not only in a spiritual mentally but also in a physical term, isn't it? Like your gut immune system or kidney or liver and so my question is how is it how, yeah, is it because in your sessions you also talk about astrology and the planet and so and we are the our organs represent different planets sometimes as well. So how is it like Kundalini the entire universe within us?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really beautiful way of putting it, yeah. I mean, we would call the macrocosm and the microcosm. So the macrocosm is like the universe outside of us, and yeah, we have the universe within us as well. Kundalini is, well, she's mysterious. She's Shakti. She's Shakti energy. So she is creation. And, creation, the universe is continually expanding. Yeah, the
Yeah.
universe is deeply mysterious. Isn't it amazing that we live on a rock that's, spinning through space and, we just can't wrap our head around how amazing and huge and incredible and magical and mystical the universe is. And that's the same energy as Kundalini, and it resides within all of us. That energy resides within all of us, and it's said to reside somewhere at the base of the spine, whether it's, the second vertebrae or at the base of the spine, or, I mean, whenever I speak to people who've had, Kundalini rising experiences, I spoke to one woman who had it from the pit of her stomach. So, who's to say that she's right, she's wrong? It's not like I always say it's not like a biology lesson, you cut yourselves in half. This is different. It's not flesh and blood and bones, although we are working with flesh and blood and bones to get much, much deeper into the spiritual layers within us.
Now you mentioned Kundalini rising. Can you elaborate a bit more? What is Kundalini rising? How do I know I had a Kundalini rising or not? Or, you know what I mean? How do
Yeah.
people know? What does it mean? I have a Kundalini rising.
Okay. So well, rising, it rises. The energy rises. Okay. So they say that, and it's true, that, Kundalini is a dormant energy within us. So it's asleep. Yeah. Because if we were
Okay.
all like high as a kite all of the time, that would make living quite challenging, actually. So, and I'm sure we've all had experiences in our life where we felt oneness with all things. We felt vibrantly alive. We felt really connected to our environment. And we feel like a depth of understanding. Now, like a vast, it goes wide as well. So it goes up and it goes wide. I've had a couple of, it's interesting. I think you need to speak to people about it, like, because sometimes it can be subtle, but usually it's not. So you kind of know if you've had a Kundalini rising. I've had a couple. And a lady on my retreat had one actually last month, and she said it was really like an eel. She said, it was like jump, and she was actually in shavasana, and this just kind of big woo of energy sort of just kind of shot and came out of her like woo. It
Wow.
it tends to be quite fast and up and explosive, and it's not that she was fine, but it was a big release of something, like I said, it's something. It it tends to release blocks that are blocking our own internal flow.
Fascinating. And why
Yeah.
is it feminine? With that
because
she, Kundalini she.
yeah, Kundalini Shakti energy. Yeah, so it's sorry, we're gonna see. Here we go. It's a spiraling energy. Yeah, Woof, it goes. That's how it goes. A little bit like our DNA. You know, that
Okay,
spirals. It's said to have a coil of 3.5 turns.
okay.
So, you know,
And why you guys wear the turban? By the way, guys, Laura has the most beautiful flower power turbans I have seen in my whole life. She's going for London and enlightening people. It's so wonderful to see in dark on the white wearing it. So why are you wearing this turban? Is turban the
oh,
right word? Yeah.
yeah, turban is the right word.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different reasons. Um, I not all Kundalini yoga teachers wear turbans. I
Okay.
personally couldn't teach without a turban. I feel like completely naked. It it feel just the so many different levels. It feels really your head feels really lovely, cozy, and contained in your turban, and it creates quite a nice pressure around the meridians and the forehead that helps you focus at your third eye. So
Mm-hmm.
it is a meditation aid, yeah? You
Okay.
can cover your hair, and sometimes if I'm not teaching, I'll just sometimes I'll just cover my hair like that, yeah? Particularly when I do my prayers, yeah? So in traditional Kundalini yoga as taught by Yogi Bhajan, which is what I teach, we use a lot of Sikh mantras, and it's respectful to cover your hair when chanting those mantras. So he he was what's the word? I can't remember the word. When you it's interesting because oh, sorry, I'm rambling, but you know, as a teacher, I would, out of respect,
Yeah.
when I'm using those mantras, I would always cover my hair. Sometimes as a student, you know, particularly if you're brand new to practice or something, they wouldn't expect you to cover your hair, but it is respectful to cover your hair when chanting particular mantras. So it's respect, it is a meditation aid, but also it is quite protective. I feel safe in my turban. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it is a powerful practice, and it's a little bit like a spiritual crash helmet, put it that way. You know, it does. If it I feel very, very safe. Yeah.
Beautiful. And would you say so? When I was doing your Kundalini and or in Maga Yoga, but especially with your Kundalini, with the mantra and the chanting and the exercise, I I somehow saw the connection between human being and the need of physically active mantra like for example Islam Muslim, yeah, they bow down and they have the movement, the Jewish they go like that, I don't know how the Catholic go, the gospel singer the dance, no it's this one, would you say that Kundalini even though it's like a yoga art, a yoga form, but it is also, and I'm not saying religious in a bad way. I mean in religious at the core of religion, yeah, which means peace and love and harmony, right? Not what to do with it, yeah. Yeah. Would you say that Kundalini, because I assume it's very old, is kind of also connected with the other part of religion in a certain way, or the fundamental purpose of the movement and chanting to basically get out of your head and connect to the greater God being God, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, exact. It is exact. I mean, it's not a religion. It does
Yeah,
borrow
no,
from
no, it is.
yeah,
Yeah.
it does borrow from the Sikh religion because Yogi Bhajan was Sikh. Um, so we do chant the Sikh sacred mantras, which are really, really beautiful. but of course they have a universal, you know, message. I mean, all the best parts of all religions have a beautiful universal message. And all yoga, whether it's obvious or not, is a physical spiritual practice. So, you know, I think possibly Kundalini is the most overt spiritual practice, spiritual, you know, overtly spiritual yoga practice. But all yoga is there to help us to connect to God, or, you know, I know for some people, God is you know, is a difficult word. So it's whatever you consider your higher power or the higher power to be, the force, you know, when Ek Onkar really is about the Big Bang. It's it's like I say, it's that force of creation. That's that's the energy. It's the ultimate it's the ultimate source energy that we're connecting to when we're practicing Kundalini, which is why it is so powerful, so transformational, and goes so deep.
So we are all one. Now, how can we, people are, what's going on in the world around wars and earthquakes and volcano eruptions and personally, I see it as a natural disaster, which is okay in a way compared to bombing people, in my opinion. I think nature, it's always been there, it kills everything. But how can we how can we be more how can we spread the word more? How can we bring more people to do Kundalini or get into more spiritual work to create a world peace, to come back together, basically, because we are, we are on purpose separated through all the media and what have you, right? And how can we reach a point where people say, okay, enough, let's come back together? Can Kundalini help us?
I really believe so. I really, really, really believe so. I think you have to believe that change is possible. I it's a mindset thing. I think there is hope. Yeah. So like at the moment in the UK, you know, I mean, it depends how political, you know, I've been thinking about this a lot, you know, with this whole horrible Israel, Gaza, Palestine, you know, Tory party, Labour Party, they're all sort of the same the same brush, huge government corruption. And I started to think, we've got to overthrow the government. We've got to, you know, how do we overthrow the government? You know, the people have got to rise up and overthrow the government, you know, and first
Yeah.
of all, you've got to believe that it's possible. Yeah. It's not gonna be easy, but, you know, it's nothing.
Yeah.
This is the whole energy of Kundalini. Nothing is impossible. So,
Now, I
first
want to
of all,
ask you
uh-huh.
something really weird. Maybe you find it weird. I'm sure you know David Icke, yeah, and his
Oh,
idea
yeah, I
about
don't yeah.
yeah, this idea about reptilian alien concept that we are ruled, and if I look at the world, and maybe I'm crazy, I somehow believe it more or less, because what they do is so inhuman, right? And it's like you got people like, hey, I don't know, 1-2% of people who are completely acting inhuman in every aspect, destroying the Mother Earth, which we all need, destroying the people, creating destruction on every corner, yeah? And pollution and all that. So this is, for me, not a human spirit in that sense, right? It doesn't make sense in a way, because, and if you look at the normal people like you and me and Joe Bloke around the corner, they just try to survive and help the old neighbor, or I live in the countryside. You see people helping each other, with because this is human, and then you have those people inhuman. So do you think, because there were many years in Babylon, do you think there is a slight possibility that there was once upon a time aliens ruling the world, in some DNA experiment and created that, the slave, which is us, and then the upper. I mean, it sounds crazy, but is there any possibility in that? And that's why they're inhuman, and therefore who feeding from the fear, and therefore maybe we have got track them differently. Because they are not human, because they're not gonna get out on the human level, if that makes any sense. I know
A
it's
kind
crazy, right?
kind of, kind of. I mean, to be honest, I don't know a lot about a David Icke, and I'm not big into going down rabbit holes. I'm quite a grounded, practical, I feel I mean, I certainly definitely believe that there are some people who, are interplanetary, I
Yeah,
believe in reincarnation without a doubt. That doesn't necessarily mean you reincarnate from, human, you might reincarnate from a different dimension, absolutely, for sure, totally can buy that. I
yeah,
think really actually what our problem is as humans is we're I don't wanna swear, but we're really greedy. And it's actually it's not lizards who are killing us, it's greed that's killing us, and some people have just got so greedy, whether it's for land, or whether it's for money, or whether it's for power, that completely seems to override their heart. So, I think actually I'm very interested in human beings and human potential. I don't tend to go off down a alien DNA kind of,
yeah.
story, because I think
Yeah, no,
humans are
that's the
interested
story.
humans are infinitely interesting enough to study, yeah. Did
But
that
let me
answer your
ask
question?
you, where do you think the Greek originate?
Where do I think what
The,
originated?
Gre- where do you think that the Greek originate? Where's the origin of Greek? When did it
Oh.
start? The ego, When did the ego, the me, the sense of me, mine, instead of I am us? Because, we used to be more connected to nature and to our environment, and then we became who we are now. So,
Well, it's scarcity, isn't it? There's thinking that there's not enough, and that we have to hoard. It's kind of
yeah,
anti-yogi to hoard. Yeah. So
yeah.
this whole thing when COVID kicked off and everybody was like running around like crazy getting toilet paper and, taking all the food off the shelves in the supermarket. There was deep, deep fear, and
Yeah,
that's a lack of trust and it's a disconnection from the divine because ultimately, when you can really trust in the divine that actually all your needs will be met. I mean, that doesn't mean becoming really super passive and you not pulling your weight and not, like I say, we're here to be creative. We're here to continually expand. We're here with gifts, we are very the same and we are all unique. That's the paradox. We live in this dimension is very paradoxical, dark, light, da, 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 da. Um, so, it's when suddenly there's a disconnection through the
yeah,
crown chakra, and you suddenly start to like become really graspy and grabby and desperate, and it's from a place of fear
yeah,
rather than trust. I don't think it's fear or love. I actually think it's fear or trust. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
that's what I believe.
Now you are a mom. I know you're a
Mhm,
mom. So
mhm.
how is you got a son? I know you got
Yeah.
a son. How is he with your Kundalini? Is he meditating? Is he with you or is he against you?
Uh,
Because children are either with you or against you. So I always was curious to find out how this is a complete different level as well to apply your Kundalini when you bring up someone, right? I mean, this is a You have different responsibilities. You have to be a mom. You have to be strict sometimes. You have to tell him go to school him if you can't believe in the system. And you know what I mean? So how does that work? Is he with you or against
Oh,
you?
oh, he's so my son is 16 now, and he's grown up with me, wearing a turban and
Oh
going on
wow.
retreat, spirituality,
Awesome.
what he calls hippie food.
Nice. Yeah.
Um, it's interesting. Gosh, no, I mean, he doesn't practice, he doesn't meditate. Maybe that's a failing of me as a mother that I've never, I'm fairly, wouldn't want to force my practice onto him. Um, he has he's done in his lifetime, so he's 16, so he's done 2 Kundalini yoga classes with some really hardcore teachers, so that was really good fun. So he knows what the practice is about. I mean, I walk around sometimes if I don't always wear a turban, but, you know, I teach my morning class and then I might have to drive him to what is now college. And I'll walk down the street in a turban, or I'll drive him to school in my turban, and you know, so he's very, very used to it. And what's interesting is he kind of gets the philosophy. Um,
Yeah.
so he understands about karma, and
Mhm.
he's a kind and compassionate person, which I'm really delighted about. But he's also a kid, and so yeah, he hasn't got a deep spiritual practice. That's fine. That's who he is. I'm just letting him get on and be who he is, and he's not against me either. No, he's always he's
Beautiful.
really supportive of me. But one time when he was little, maybe he was about 8 or 7 or 8 or something, I put some food down in front of me. It was like, "Oh, no, mum, not this hippie food again." So, so I think sometimes he just wants yeah.
Are you a vegan or do you eat meat
No.
sometimes?
Yeah, I was brought up eating meat, and I still eat meat occasionally. Yeah, I do. I find
Okay.
yeah. I'm not gonna lie about that one. I mean, because
No,
I
I'm
my
just.
all my retreats are vegan, everybody thinks I'm vegan, but no, I'm not vegan. Food does make a huge difference, though, to your
Yeah.
ability to, uh, like I find actually my Kundalini I feel very activated very quickly, because sometimes I'll do, like, in the spring, I'll do fasts and cleanse, like I do a green cleanse, and I just green food for a month, and I'm high as a kite by the time I finish that. So, yeah, it's actually eating a little bit of meat is grounding, and I find that I feel a lot better with just a little bit of meat in my diet, like a bit of steak. Oh my god, I feel like it tops my batteries back up again. So, yeah, sorry. It's not very spiritual, but I feel better for it.
No, I think it cuts a pressure on people with the whole vegan thing. Like, oh, you're not spiritual. In my experience, you have to listen to your body.
Yeah.
Like, for example, if I do more workout, my body asks for certain things. I literally can see. I'm not, especially in London, it's very difficult meat. I stopped eating meat in London because, oh my God, mm, supermarket meat, and I don't know. It's very difficult in London to find good quality meat. But now I'm in the countryside, and I mean, I cook a lamb the day before running around. I mean, it sounds cruel, but at the same time, I know it will have a happy life, and you feel the energy different of the meat, if that
Yeah,
makes any sense.
and as my sister said, if God didn't want us to
So,
eat them, uh, they God wouldn't have made them so tasty. So, yeah, so that,
and now, last two more questions, can I? Now, I really love your classes. And I
oh,
will put the YouTube link and your website link and everything down after that Finn. I really want you guys to check her out on YouTube. Really, really check her out. Go one good passion is life changing. Okay, and I'm not saying that easily. It it should go a bit gone. Tell me more about I only want to have this sound like live, right? And if it's
Mhm.
gone, it's just like oh my goodness. It's gone. Can you have what is this glass? The glass thing you have
Oh, they're my yeah, my crystal
where you
chalice.
go like
Mm.
yeah, oh my god.
So you can get crystal bowls, but they sit on the floor. But if you have a crystal chalice, you can hold it and then you can
Yeah.
manipulate it. So you hit it and then you can manipulate the sound around. And I have two of them.
Wow.
One's particularly beautiful for the crown chakra. So yeah, the first time I heard it, I was like, oh my God, I have to have one of those because I could just feel it clearing my crown
Wow.
chakra. And the gong, it's such a powerful instrument. They said it contains all the sounds of the universe. So it really helps release, we ourselves, can put the effort, apply the pressure to release tension within us. And then when we come to Shavasana, then we're lying down and we're in a very relaxed state. The gong, the sounds of the gong, the vibrations of the gong can help ripple through us and just help ease any other tension and anything else that's ready to be released. I always think of like, yoga is a cleansing practice, and there's so
Yeah.
many different ways to cleanse, to release ourselves of negativity. It's not just dirt, it's not just clutter, it's not just physical cleansing, it's, emotional, mental and spiritual cleansing, to really like polishing the diamond, polishing the diamond, polishing the diamond, so you're brighter and brighter and lighter and bigger and brighter. Yeah.
Amazing. Like amazing number. Two questions need to come up. Would you be interested in doing a retreat maybe up north one day? Northwest Cumbria, Lake
Oh,
District.
yeah,
Would
I'd
it be
love
something
to.
maybe
Yeah, definitely. I'd love to. I
maybe we
ran,
could organize something. I would love to have you up.
oh, please, 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 because I ran retreats. I ran super fun retreats in Ibiza. And I did 11 of them over, apart from the pandemic, I think over about 5 years. And yeah. And that 11th retreat, it was so good. I felt it was like completed and, yeah, so I would love to do more stuff in the UK. I've got my retreat in India in case anybody's coming up, but obviously that's far away
Yeah,
and
no,
money
I will
and flights and blah, 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 blah,
go.
blah. I'd
Yeah.
love to do something in the UK. Yeah, if you can find the venue, yeah, let me know.
Yeah, okay, I'll keep my eyes because the Lake District has, have you been up here? I don't know, has a very hobby vibe. Lot of green hobby vibe. It's like very mystical fairy tale vibe. You feel
Uh,
like there's a little gnome coming, and it looks like really like I don't know, Snow White in the woods or something like that. And
oh,
I
fantastic.
used to live in London 20 years. And I moved up there because I had to move landlord, blah, blah, and I never looked back.
Good for
That,
you.
you know.
Yeah, no, I'm always looking for an excuse to get out of London. So yeah, like let's sort that out. That'd be great. Yeah.
Okay, okay. So my final question I ask all my guests: Imagine it's your last day on Earth. You're gonna die. Okay. Yeah. So it's your final day. I don't know how you die. It's up to you. You decide. But what would be your last word to the world, or how would you spend your last moment, and what would you leave behind for the world?
Oh my goodness, what a good question. So, I think it's really, really important to live like it is your last day on earth because we never know what's around the corner. So, make every day, do your best. I know it's not always easy, but just life is short. Life is really, really short. I would tell I suppose my last words would be just do some Kundalini yoga. I think that's what I spend my whole life telling people. Just try it. Try some Kundalini yoga.
Right.
And I have, it's interesting now. Obviously, most things are online, or a lot of things are online. I've got a Facebook group with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of full Kundalini yoga classes. So, you can just go into that Facebook group and you could practice Kundalini yoga with me, whether I was here or not, Um, so
Yeah.
I'm really pleased with that. And I suppose I just want to spend my last day with my son, really, and in
And
my
your
garden,
cat.
probably. Yeah, just
And
just
your
having a
cat.
re
And your
and with yeah, and with
lovely
my
cat.
cat, and I'd invite all my friends over, and we'd have yeah, I'm quite sociable, so, yeah, I'd have all my mates come over, and we'd all sit in the garden, we'd have cups of tea and have a good old chat, and yeah, nothing complicated, doesn't have to be super complicated, and just tell people just how
Wonderful.
much, I love them and, how grateful that I am that, you know, they're in my life. I really feel that with the pandemic, what's taught us is relationships are the most important things, really, for a happy, healthy, loving, supportive, encouraging, kind, friendly, warm relationships. Yeah, it just make everything so much better.
Definitely. Oh, so beautiful. Thank you so much for your time.
Oh,
Such an
Gudrun.
honestly, such an honor having met you.
Oh, thank you.
The world is grateful to have you. Again, everyone, check her out. Honestly, check her out. Check her out. Check her out. I only can say, do Kundalini yoga with Laura. Honestly, yeah, life. I only can say it's life changing in so many different levels. Words cannot describe it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Can I
No.
can I just can I just mention, because thank you. Thank you, thank you,
Yeah.
thank you very much. But we were talking about, wanting to change the world for a better place. And so I started this new class on my YouTube channel. So it's completely free and it's a full class. And I'm live now every Friday morning, 8 till 9. 8 till 9 in the morning. Yeah. Fridays for freedom. And it's freedom of mind. And it's really freedom from the oppression of fear that we're living under. So yeah. Yeah, and there's a class up there that if you're brand new to
You
practice,
bring you yeah.
would that the number one, Fridays for Freedom number one, that if you haven't done Kundalini yoga before, that would be a good one to practice. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Gudrun, for having me. Thank you so
Fantastic.
much for your
Thank you so much.
enthusiasm,
Thank you.
and yeah, it's really, really kind to be invited on. It's likewise, it's an honor to be here.
Thank you. Have a lovely evening. Thank you.
Cheers, darling.